The first hurdle that keeps victims from speaking up is oftentimes denial that they in fact have been sexually violated. For many victims, it takes years before they realize that really what happened to them was in fact a sexual violation. Another huge obstacle is that victims oftentimes feel ashamed.
I remember him kissing me on the lips and then physically manipulating my hand to basically rub him. And he told me at that time, when I was very hazy, he said, "It's okay, this is just how we wake you up." I felt ashamed myself because I thought, if it was a dream, how disgusting. Why would my mind be giving me that information when I was unconscious or very heavily sedated? And because I have worked in hospitals before, I assumed that it couldn't happen.
First, there's the betrayal by the actual predator himself. Then there's the betrayal by the colleagues and supervisors who, at best, they ignore the wrongdoing. And at worst, they actively try to conceal the wrongdoing.
At least the administration, the CEO, and a couple other people in the hospital here should have taken steps at least 3 years before my surgery, because there were allegations. There was one in writing that we uncovered from early 2008. The only piece of evidence that needed to be there was that paper documenting the report of this happening in 2008. And since nothing was done after that, because of that, that alone lays a majority of the responsibility at the feet of the people who ignored that, who didn't immediately go to the police.
I certainly, as soon as we had the information we could to go to the police, we immediately went to the police with that. I can't really elaborate on that, but it's certainly not a case of us ignoring accusations ever.
The police believed that the hospital was trying to manipulate them and steer blame away from them. And the hospital was found guilty of negligence in 2 separate civil trials. I don't feel like I'm free, because at any time, if something happens, I could be taken to that hospital, Mid-Columbia Medical Center, because I can't trust those in power.
I think if you haven't experienced sexual exploitation or violence, it's really hard to understand how and why it's so devastating. You know, there is no more deeply personal betrayal than this, because it's a betrayal on a physical and an emotional level and psychological level, all at the same time.
As soon as I started going through the process with the criminal system, I was diagnosed with PTSD. Then, after the second civil trial, I decided to request a medical leave of absence, partially so I could write, but also so I could distance myself from being literally down the street from the hospital. But people just don't understand. They don't seem to understand. They don't want to believe that they too are still vulnerable.
And tragically among the other, subsequent problems, is that to recover from a betrayal like that, for most people, really the best way to do it is to trust again.
The thing about this area, I came here and I immediately connected to the beauty of it. It's phenomenal here, because I'm able to just recognize that there's so much more, and I can't let somebody else make a decision for me or negatively impact the way that I see this place, because it's too magnificent to ignore.